My brother, I need you to hear this with open ears and an open heart. The silence is over. Something has shifted. You can feel it, can't you? You scroll through your phone, you see the headlines, you feel the emptiness in your own chest, and you know deep down something is breaking. It's not just the world out there collapsing, it's the collapse happening inside men everywhere. The collapse of purpose, the collapse of connection, the collapse of identity. You've been told that your worth is in your money, in your looks, in how many women you can impress. And yet, why are so many men more lost than ever before? Why are you lying awake at night, staring at the ceiling, wondering what's missing? Because God is sounding an alarm. He's calling you out of the noise, out of the numbness, out of the performance. He's warning you, if you build your life on things that are collapsing, you too will collapse. But if you build on the eternal, you will stand when the storm comes. This is not just a motivational video. This is a wake-up call, a prophetic warning for every man who dares to listen. If you've been running from the truth tonight, God just said, the collapse has begun. Here's the truth, my friend. Most men today are walking around in a costume, a mask. You see it in the gym selfies, in the flashy cars, in the desperate need to show the world, I'm strong, I'm winning, I'm good. But inside, they are crumbling. Inside, they feel like little boys who never learned what it meant to be a man. I've spoken to thousands, and I'll tell you the pattern. A man spends his life chasing validation. From his parents, from women, from peers, from society, and every time he gets a taste, it disappears. That's why you can sleep with her and still feel empty. That's why you can stack your bank account and still feel poor. That's why you can have followers online and still feel invisible. Because strength isn't something you buy, strength isn't something you show, strength is something you live in the quiet moments when nobody's clapping. Strength is waking up and doing what's right when it would be easier to quit. Strength is being the man your younger self desperately needed. The world told you strength is domination. God says strength is surrender to Him, to His design, to His truth. And here's the hardest thing. Surrender takes more courage than domination, because domination feeds your ego, but surrender shapes your soul. You think strength is being the loudest in the room, but real strength is being the one who doesn't need to prove anything. You think strength is never breaking. No, real strength is breaking and choosing to stand back up again and again. And right now, if you're listening, you've been chosen. That emptiness you feel, that's not punishment. That's invitation. God is pulling the mask off and saying, son, stop performing, stop pretending, come back to who I made you to be. That's the illusion of strength. You've been chasing shadows. But if you're willing to face the truth, to take the mask off, to embrace the pain and let it refine you, you will find a strength that no collapse can destroy. That is the beginning of your awakening. Do you know how collapse really begins? Not with an explosion, not with fire raining from the sky. No, collapse begins in silence, quietly, invisibly, in the little cracks nobody notices until one day the whole structure falls. And brother, that's exactly what's happening in men's lives today. It's not that one big mistake that destroys you. It's the slow decay you ignore. The late night scrolling that steals your sleep, the drinks you use to numb the pain, the way you stop picking up your Bible, stop going to the gym, stop calling your parents. At first, it feels harmless, just normal. But these small cracks are not neutral. They are spiritual termites, eating away at the foundation of your soul. You don't collapse the day she leaves you, or the day you lose the job, or the day the money runs out. The collapse happens long before, when you trained yourself to avoid responsibility, when you silenced your conscience, when you pushed God's whisper away one too many times. By the time the storm comes, the damage has already been done, and I need to tell you this truth. The devil doesn't usually attack with a sword. He attacks with silence. He wants you distracted, comfortable, entertained. He wants you slowly asleep, scrolling your life away. So when the fire finally comes, you have no strength to stand. Look back on your life. Where did the collapse begin for you? Maybe it was the first time you lied to yourself and said, "It doesn't matter." Maybe it was when you stayed in bed instead of facing the day. Maybe it was when you stopped fighting for your dreams and settled for surviving. That's how collapse begins, not with thunder, but with whispers. But here's the hope. If collapse begins silently, so does strength. You don't rebuild your life overnight with one dramatic act. You rebuild by reclaiming the small moments. By saying no to one more hour of scrolling. By taking the first step to clean your room, pay that bill, open the Bible, apologize to the one you hurt. Small acts of courage that seem invisible, but they are building you brick by brick into a man who will not fall. Brother, the silent collapse is real, but so is the silent resurrection. You have the power, starting today, to choose which one defines you. Every man thinks the war is out there, in politics, in culture, in business, in competition with other men. But the truth, the greatest war is not fought with guns or fists. It's fought for your heart, right here inside of you. You wake up every morning drafted into a battlefield, whether you realize it or not, and the enemy doesn't come waving a flag, announcing, "I'm here to destroy you." No. He comes disguised, in distractions, in temptations, in lies you tell yourself. He comes in the voice that says, "You're not enough. You'll never be loved. You're broken." And if you're not awake, if you don't recognize it, you hand him the keys to your heart without even knowing it. This war is subtle but deadly, because once the enemy wins your heart, he doesn't need to chain your hands. You'll chain yourself. You'll self-sabotage. You'll run into relationships that drain you. You'll chase addictions that numb you. You'll drown in the noise and call it normal life. And let me tell you something the world won't. You are not neutral. You can't be. Every day your heart is claimed by fear or by faith, by the world or by God. There's no middle ground. The collapse of men doesn't happen because they lost money or failed in dating. It happens because they surrendered the war for their heart without even knowing they were in one. But here's the good news. God doesn't expect perfection from you. He expects battle. He expects you to fight. Not with arrogance, not with empty bravado, but with humility, with honesty, with discipline. And the most dangerous man on earth isn't the one with the most muscles or the most money. It's the man who has guarded his heart, because out of that heart flows his identity, his courage, his calling. So I'll ask you who owns your heart right now, is it God or is it lust? Is it truth or is it fear? Is it strength or is it shame? You cannot win this war if you don't even know you're in it. The collapse has begun, yes. But for the man who wins the war for his heart, collapse turns into calling, pain turns into power, and brokenness becomes the birthplace of destiny. That's the war for your heart, and brother, it's time you start fighting it. Brother, let me tell you something that culture will never admit, something you probably already know deep down. Women are not impressed with your bank account as much as you think. They don't lose sleep over how many cars you own, how many zeros are in your paycheck, or how many flexes you post online. That's not what they truly crave. Do those things get attention? Sure, but attention isn't love. Attention isn't respect. Attention isn't intimacy. And that's why so many men who look like they're winning on the outside are still completely alone inside. Because money, status, and performance can make a woman look at you, but they cannot make her stay. Here's the truth. What a woman desires most isn't your wealth. It's your presence. She doesn't want a man who only throws money at her problems. She wants a man who stands beside her when the problems hit. She doesn't want a man who buys her love. She wants a man who gives her his heart, his focus, his consistency. And let me be real with you, it's easier to throw money at a woman than it is to give her your true self. Because true presence requires vulnerability, it requires honesty, it requires courage, it requires being seen as you really are without the mask. And that terrifies most men, but if you're brave enough to face it, you'll find this. Love was never meant to be earned like a paycheck. Love was meant to be given freely as a reflection of God's own heart. A woman doesn't crave perfection. She craves safety. She wants to know that when life shakes her, you will still be there, grounded, steady, unshakable. So stop believing the lie that women only want what you can buy. Stop scrolling through endless dating hacks that teach you how to manipulate. Real love is not a trick, it's truth, and the man who understands that will find something the world can't manufacture, a relationship that endures when everything else collapses. Because here's the prophetic warning: you can impress women with success, but you can only keep them with substance. And substance is born not in your bank account, but in your character. Brother, women don't need you to be perfect. They don't need you to be the richest, the tallest, the best looking. They need you to be present, to be real, to be steady. And if you can be that man, you will not only find love, you will find legacy. There comes a moment in every man's life when he realizes this can't be it. The endless scrolling, the shallow hookups, the paycheck grind that leaves him empty even when he wins. Deep down, every man feels the ache of something bigger, something greater, something eternal. That ache is not depression. It's a call, the call to purpose. Brother, you were not created just to survive. You weren't put here to wake up, go to work, pay bills, and die. That's not life. That's existing. And the tragedy is that most men never answer the call to purpose because they're too distracted by the noise, too busy chasing someone else's dream, too afraid to step into the unknown where God's calling waits. Here's the truth. Culture will tell you your purpose is to get rich, get women, get status. But God says your purpose is to build, to protect, to lead, to create. Your purpose isn't about what you can get. It's about what you can give. That's why, even when you achieve everything the world promises, you still feel empty. Because the real purpose of a man's life isn't found in consumption. It's found in contribution. And here's where it gets raw. Answering the call to purpose will cost you. It will cost you your comfort. It will cost you your excuses. It will cost you the small, numb version of yourself that's been hiding behind distractions. But in that death, something greater is born. Think of every man you've admired in history, not because of their wealth or popularity, but because of their impact. They all answered the call to purpose. They all chose to sacrifice temporary comfort for eternal significance. That is the same invitation being whispered into your spirit right now. You've felt it, haven't you? That tug in your chest, that voice saying, "There's more in you than this. There's something I designed you to do." You can drown it out with noise. You can numb it with addictions, or you can finally answer, because, brother, this is bigger than you. When a man answers his call to purpose, it changes his family, his community, his future generations. The collapse may have begun in the world, but when you rise into your God-given purpose, you become a lighthouse in the storm. Others will see you stand, and they will stand too. This is your moment. This is your time. The call to purpose isn't for tomorrow. It's for now. The only question is, will you pick it up? The truth is this: everything around you is shaking. The economy, culture, politics, relationships, none of it is steady. And if you're honest, even your own emotions rise and fall like waves. One moment you feel on top of the world, the next you're drowning in doubt. That's what happens when you build your life on things that collapse. Think about it. If your worth is built on your bank account, what happens when the market crashes? If your identity is built on her approval, what happens when she walks away? If your strength is built on your performance, what happens when you fail? You collapse right along with it, but there's a foundation that does not move, a rock that no storm can destroy. And it's not found in the applause of people, not in the size of your muscles, not in the likes on your post. It's found in the one who made you, the one who calls you son, the one who never collapses. Jesus said it plainly: "The man who hears my words and puts them into practice is like a wise man who built his house on the rock. The rains came, the floods rose, the winds blew, and still the house stood." Why? Because the foundation was unshakable. Brother, hear me, the collapse of culture doesn't have to mean the collapse of you. You can stand when everyone else falls, but only if you build on the right foundation. That means living by truth when lies surround you. That means choosing discipline when comfort tempts you. That means anchoring your heart in God when the world tries to claim it. And here's the paradox. The world tells you that building on God will make you weak, outdated, irrelevant. But the opposite is true. The man who builds on God is the one who cannot be bought, cannot be broken, cannot be moved. He's the man others run to when the storm rages. He's the man who leaves a legacy long after his time is done. So let me ask you directly, what are you building on, sand or stone, approval or truth, comfort or calling? Because one of those will collapse, the other will stand. The collapse has begun, yes, but for the man who builds his life on the unshakable foundation, collapse is not the end. It's the beginning. It's the moment the world sees that when everything else falls, you still stand. Listen, this isn't a game. The collapse has begun, and you have a choice. Keep living numb or rise and become unshakable. Don't walk away unchanged. Share this with a brother who needs to hear it. Like this video if it hit you. Comment below with one truth you're ready to live out. And subscribe, because the next word could be the one that saves your life.